Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, and after frequently receiving the question, how is Fallout 76 after all the updates during any of my 76 streams, I decided to dedicate an entire video to this very topic. Now this video is designed to cover the major beats of the Wild Appalachia season for Fallout 76, as in there are some more minor quality of life changes that may fly under the radar. If you need an example, think of energy weapons getting a damage tweak, stuff like that. Do keep in mind also that there are still the Nuclear Winter and Wastelanders DLC to come, so this isn't entirely it for Fallout 76, but this is the conclusion of its first official DLC season. What I'm going to be doing is going through every single significant update, giving my thoughts on it, and at the end of the video, I'll tell you guys whether or not it's time to jump into this game. So let's get started with the first patch that came to Fallout 76, which included the Kishan questline. Now, like most quests in this video that I'll be discussing, this can be started by interacting with a poster at the train stations peppered about the wasteland. A simple synopsis of this story is pretty much that students of the Vault-Tec University create a drink called Kishan, but there is this unknown special ingredient in there which you are attempting to unveil. Pretty much the crux of this entire questline is to get you to learn about what is the more important part of this patch, brewing and distilling. So what you're able to do in Fallout 76 now is create your own alcohol, and then you can ferment it, and then you can sell it to other players, or you can use it to buff some of your own stats. Personally, this is a part of the game that, while I enjoyed the questline, I thought it was better than most in 76. I thought brewing and distilling was overall kind of useless. It was just another thing to do, but what it did allow me to do is make use of different parts of the camp. For example, I was planting razor grain and corn now and using that to craft these drinks for Fallout 76. Also, a lot of new challenges are tied to alcohol in this game, so it actually works in that manner too, encouraging you to create different types of drinks. Also included in this patch was the Fasnacht Parade, which you can no longer experience. This was Bethesda's attempt at a limited time event. Basically, upon completing this event, you would receive one of a multitude of masks. Unfortunately, as I was grinding this event, the two masks I got were the ugliest ones that I could not stand, so they just lie in my stash at this point in time to say, I simply did it. I like the idea of a limited event in Fallout 76. I think it keeps the player base engaged, it makes you want to be a part of these events, and you have something to show for it at the end of it. It's a tried and true MMO trope, but I think it's one that would stick and work well in 76. Although, I will say the performance really tanked for Fasnacht Parade, and considering it was a limited time event where it's not like players came in, got their rewards, and then they dispersed, where new players coming in later on will have a less worse experience. All of us had this in the same week where frames would drop, there was so much chaos, it was really messy, they'd send super mutant suiciders through doorways at you, and there would be so much going on. It's a big problem with a lot of 76's new content, which I call monster closets, because they just keep sending enemies and enemies at you. They do eventually end, but it seems like an endless amount, and that's just poor enemy design as far as I'm concerned, because they're just sending waves at you instead of trying to challenge the player. They're just trying to overwhelm you. And that's a common theme amongst all new content in the forms of questing in this game. Also, a part of this patch was challenge tracking. So what you can do now is open your challenge menu and you can track up to 6 challenges, which will then appear on your map. So it allows you to avoid one less menu to go into. Personally, I would have loved the idea of challenge tracking being mapped, if you wanted to, it could be optional, to where your quests are, because sometimes opening up the map, it is a little bit of a space for loading there, which I play on the PS4, so maybe that's why, but still something you should be aware of. I do like the addition of challenge tracking. I just wish it was a little more accessible where I wasn't constantly pausing the game. Now, more importantly, the biggest patch I was looking forward to was survival mode. Survival mode introduces more hardcore mechanics to Fallout 76. On death, you'll not only drop your junk, but also any aid items, and plus the cap reward and penalty for PvP is increased. So if you do the killing, you're going to gain a lot, but if you are dying, you're going to lose a lot of caps. Furthermore, there is a 20% increase on experience points earned, and weekly challenges are tied to this mode that will reward you with special legendary weapons. So there is a little bit of give and take in this mode, and on paper it all works out well. Fast travel is limited to the player's camps, Vault 76, and train stations. The longer you survive, the higher you will climb on the scoreboards. Those who have survived the longest will start to populate your map, and you can actually receive a beefy reward if you manage to take that person out. However, you will be marked as wanted, and then there will be a bounty placed on your head, which when you are killed, someone will receive a cap reward for taking you out. because there is a survival mode, Bethesda also renamed the traditional Fallout 76 experience prior to survival ever being implemented adventure mode, where all slap damage is removed, and pretty much this is your designated PvE mode, where I suggest you go if you want to try out new quests. But if you're trying to just have fun, head into the wasteland, and whatever happens, then survival mode is your go-to. Originally, the biggest issue was upon fast traveling to train stations, players would camp your spawn point, which was only one single spot, and it still is, but they'd sit there in groups, killing you before your game actually loaded. Fortunately, the fast travel invulnerability actually works now, but it's pretty embarrassing that this crucial mechanic didn't work at first. I actually hopped back into survival mode for the first time in a while about a week ago, and I did enjoy my time there because stuff like the invulnerability did work, and on top of that, the increased XP was nice for someone who's just level 70 at this point in time and is looking to reach the level 100 mark. So stuff like this encouraged me to get in there. I love the idea of legendary weapons being tied to weekly challenges, although one consistent thing that's weird with challenges in 76 is some of them seem so unattainable, but yet they reward you with such little things, like taking a picture of a player who's naked fighting an alien. It's like, where do I even find something like that, right? And I'm sure 76 experts, which there are many out there, could tell me how to do so, but I feel like some of the challenges end up feeling very unattainable and in turn unappealing. There has to be that little carrot dangling, I believe. Anyway, survival mode is something that can develop into one of the strongest parts of 76 as it gets fine-tuned and balanced. If you are like me and you are a melee build, sorry, but you are going to have to use one of the newer patches which allows you to move your skill points to different parts of your build. So I was a strength build and I'm shifting everything over to perception and agility at this point in time, because when I go into PvP, it is just not feasible to be running around with a melee weapon. So do keep that in mind. Your build really does matter a lot more when it comes to PvP. In PvE, you can get away with melee, and in fact, I think it's better than guns, but when it comes to PvP, you will get destroyed. Next is the Sheep Squatch questline, Lying Low. This one left a bad taste in my mouth and was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. At first, it really was the survival mode, but then I went back for this questline thinking, okay, maybe PvP just isn't a Fallout thing. Let's just see if the questline works here, and it bugged out for me at the end, which is something that also happened quite a bit with a lot of these patches, that bugs would plague the initial part of my experience. And so I felt like, as an early investor in Fallout 76's new content, as someone who's stuck with Bethesda through a lot of this crap when no one really had to, I should be getting rewarded with quality stuff, polished stuff, and it still feels like a lot of this is genuine rush jobs, because when I'm still not able to complete the Lying Low questline, that presents an issue, especially when they have a cool reward like the Sheep Squatch outfit, something I completely missed out on. Now, hopefully one point in time this will be patched and I can actually complete it, but as it stands right now, I never got to finish this questline, so for me, it gets a big thumbs down for an awful experience. But all in all, I thought it was a really cool questline, and how Sheep Squatch came to be was very interesting. On top of that, what was added was item renaming, so you can add a little bit of flavor to your items, and Bethesda doesn't actually limit what you want to name your items. It's quite funny. You could drop curse words in there, you could put whatever you want. It's quite interesting, so you could really add your own personal flavor to your inventory and your weapons, which I really like. Also, more importantly, is player vending, something that I think is a very, very, very helpful mechanic, and oh my gosh, does it remind me of the days of RuneScape, where player trading at the bank was the move. Anyway, player vending allows you to set up vending machines in your camp, and then in that camp you can enter items that you want to sell and set a cap price for it, and then you can leave and players can go through all of your stuff and decide if they want to spend something. What's even more awesome is you are marked on the map as a vendor, and then players can fast travel to you. It also tells you what quantity of certain items they have, so if you're looking for plans and you see a player who has 24 plans in their shop, maybe they'll have the one you're looking for. Fast travel to them and maybe pay the price. I really, really like this mechanic because it makes use of some of the extra junk that you may have, where if you're trying to sell some excess items or maybe some legendaries that you have looted, it creates a fulfilling loop. But also, as someone who is more so going into the player vending as a consumer, I don't know how often I will actually be setting up player vending, because right now I don't have a ton of stuff to sell, but as a consumer who likes to quest and spend my caps, I think this is actually a fantastic feature that vastly improves the game, as well as interacting with the community, which in Fallout 76, that is one of the strongest aspects, hands down, bar none. You will meet some really nice people online when it comes to this game. Anytime I'm streaming on Twitch, the Fallout 76 community is insanely helpful because they know I'm not as big of an expert on 76 because I don't play it as much as 3, 4, New Vegas, and so on. So let's move on to the ProSnap camera, which includes the bucket list questline and camera-related challenges. So there was already a photo mode in 76. I found the addition of a ProSnap camera sounding kind of weird, but I actually quite enjoyed the bucket list questline where you went around and photographed major points in the wasteland, and you'd end up receiving plans for this questline when you completed it. But also the camera related challenges became very useful for a later patch, but still it just told you to take pictures of different creatures in the wasteland, different enemies. It didn't really add a ton, but I personally enjoy it because I like photo mode, and this tied questing to that. Sadly, alongside this patch also came repair kits, which is an item that you can either acquire by killing a Scorch Beast Queen, or you can get for paying in the Atom shop. Completely useless, completely unreasonable. There is no need for an item like this to make its way into the Atomic shop. Anyone who was asking for repair kits, which was a requested feature, did not want it to be implemented this way. I can promise you that. No one said, I want repair kits in Fallout 76, but I want to pay real money for something, when the game is all about farming resources and gaining stuff to build and repair. That's what the theme of the game is about, so putting a big part of that mechanic into the Atomic shop is no bueno in my eyes. So that is a big thumbs down from me. But next is what actually ties together with the ProSnap camera, the Ever Upwards update, which introduces the Pioneer Scouts. With them comes along a slew of challenges as you try to rise the ranks in Fallout's take on Boy Scouts. As you complete a category of a challenge, you receive a badge, and when you receive enough badges, you will actually complete the quest and be rewarded a backpack, which will increase your carry weight. You can also customize these backpacks to fit your fashion sense, and the challenges are neat at times, adding depth to areas where they were originally empty and just had enemies and that was it, but it's making the camera more useful. Overall, essentially, it felt sort of grindy because taking pictures of certain enemies isn't really compelling when there were already challenges like that existed. So for me, I like the idea of the Pioneer Scouts, and someone actually found an item in a game where I believe that Fallout 76 is going to expand on this idea even more, which I do like, because one of the major things here is that it added depth to areas. So while me, someone who's played a decent amount of 76, will come in and go, all right, I don't really feel like hopping all around the map, taking pictures of stuff and killing certain enemies and swimming and doing athletic challenges. Maybe someone who's actually experiencing the game for the first time will like that, because for example, the New Gorge Bridge is now a athletic course, which not only can you go there, explore, kill stuff, do a quest line, but you can complete a badge for your Pioneer Scout challenges. So it does add to these areas in a way that I think we do need to honestly recognize, and it can help a lot of new players. I didn't think it was the worst thing in the world. I thought it added some substantial content, something that was actually meaty and palpable. It's just a little grindy. One of the most useful additions right next to the backpack is, in fact, the legendary vendor. You can trade in legendary armor and weapons to earn scripts, which you can then use to generate new random legendary gear. So the more stats you want on a gun is indicated by 1 to 3 stars. This also increases the cost of the item itself. It creates a fulfilling and useful loop that I thoroughly enjoyed, because what happened when I was reviewing 76 was I'd get a ton of these legendary weapons, and there would be no freaking use for them at all, because I just end up dropping them once I out-leveled them. But now I can take them, any legendary weapon is exciting, and recycle it. This is actually something that I wish Fallout 4 had, because I had the same issue back then where it sort of took place of the unique weapons and armor that were in Fallout 4, and they focused so much on the legendary items. But now, because the legendary items are a part of the gameplay loop and you can recycle them, the currency is generous when you are recycling them. You are constantly getting new gear, and so you go, okay, this wooden piece of armor, maybe that's not the most useful, but guess what? I can recycle this and put it towards something random that actually may be good. Now, I would like to see limited time items in this shop for maybe a month that you could build some scripts up towards and then buy in there. I think that would be a big part of the loop instead of just investing in randomosity, but that's just my own personal opinion. Nearing the end here, we have the brand new questline Waste Management, which activates upon entering a new dungeon for Fallout 76 called the Burroughs. When I entered this dungeon, I actually did not know about this patch and had completely missed it when I took a break from Fallout 76, but I knew this was new because there was something artistically appealing about this environment upon entry that felt different and unique to the rest of the world. It felt like there was an additional focus for this environment to grab me when I entered. As for the questline, I hate to say this, but as a lover of the Fallout lore, I'd say out of any video game series out there, I probably know my Fallout lore the best after years of studying, playing, and focusing content on it. And I didn't really care for the questline here, man. It did not grab me, it did not interest me. I kind of kicked my feet up and just went through the dungeon, which, as I've mentioned multiple times before, it was a monster closet. It was tons and tons and tons of ghouls thrown at me upon entry, which once again, Bethesda needs to realize that these locations have to be interesting because of not only their art design, but also, as you get deeper, it's the story, it's the holotapes, it's the reading, it's the corpses. It's not about slinging 40 enemies at me and just having me slash through all of them. Personally, I get that this game is more of a loot and shoot focus, but the Fallout lore has so much room to explore. Focus on that more rather than sending enemies my way. Now, upon completing this questline, you actually get a unique weapon called the Gutter, which regenerates some of your health upon attacking an enemy, and it's a unique, actually, it is a unique melee weapon, and as a melee build at this point in time, I was thrilled to see this. I hope this becomes a standard for Bethesda Game Studios as they add more quests to the game, because this is the cycle. If you're going to focus on shooting and looting, put unique stuff at the end of your free quests. Last is the Project Paradise event. What a clusterfuck. Oh my god, I don't want to end it on a negative note because I do want to talk a little bit about one more thing, but Project Paradise was vintage Fallout 76 monster closet lag fest. What is happening? And I don't care, I just want to get out of here type content. I was not satisfied at all by this event. I thought that there is a time where fun, wild, and crazy is great. Like I said in my Rage 2 review, I love explosive gameplay. That is great. But in 76, there has to be a sense of pacing. It's trying to be a game. It's not by sending 40,000 enemies at you and the game dropping frames. It just becomes a mess where you go, what's happening? My brain's starting to hurt. Am I okay right now? It just brings up too many questions in the middle of an intense gameplay session, and I overall did not enjoy this event whatsoever. I don't want to linger on it too much because there is one last thing I want to talk about, which is when you sign in, there are actually updates that tell you what's happened in the latest patches for Fallout 76. A much needed update so that players who maybe aren't in tune with the hardcore game loop here on YouTube, Twitch, they don't pay attention to patch notes, can just buy the game, sign on, and they can see everything they need to right there. They're very transparent. Bethesda's been great about the Inside the Vault series, along with their roadmap for this game and patch notes. The update menu when you do sign into 76 does a great job at keeping you in tune. Now, that is the entirety of the Wild Appalachia updates, everything on the roadmap covered, mostly the significant stuff. So now, with all of that accounted for, the major question is, do you play 76 at this point in time? For me, I sit very milquetoast on the whole thing because you have a game that is filling out its world more. There are some objectives that are enjoyable, and some of the grind is filled into a gameplay loop of legendary items, player vending, badge challenges for the Pioneer Scouts, where oddly enough, I've found myself wanting to play 76 more now than at launch, which I think signifies it's in the right direction. But I have to be honest and also say it's still not in a great spot. It still drops frames. There's still poor performance at times. I think some of the updates still aren't functioning properly. So you shouldn't go out of your way to play this. But I will say this much. 76 warrants some attention. It warrants your look at the very least through this video, but also with the upcoming Nuclear Winter update, where presumably Bethesda, I've heard through rumors and sources that they are adding in a Battle Royale mode. I was told this a good couple of months ago, and it's seemingly going to be true. But all in all, I don't do grade scores on this channel, but this update would get like a B-, a C. It's not awful, but it's not very good either. It fills out the world. I think survival mode is the most major thing next to legendary vending, player vending, the camera ever upwards. I think that all in all, when you take a big bird's eye view look at it, there is a lot more to like than dislike. It's just the things that I like, I'm not overwhelmingly in love with and super positive about. But still, I wanted to answer that very question for you guys. I'd say keep your eye on 76. While it's not still the game that a lot of us want, if you're able to accept some of the elements in the game, like it being online, it being more of a shoot and loot fest, then it may warrant a little more attention from you than usual. But if that's still not your cup of tea, nothing has changed here, and I'm sure that was obvious in the middle of the video, hell, even the beginning. So let me conclude there, as this has been a much longer upload than usual. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments down below. Fire away, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think about the latest updates for Fallout 76? Let me know. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that, as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.